Hello everybody, my name's James Hook and I'm with Classic Survivor, and today we're going to go to Brooks, Oregon and interview Don Rush. We're going to sit down and talk about business and classic cars. So stay tuned and come join me. Today I'm down in Salem, Oregon at West Coast Classic Cougar, and I'm with the iconic Cougar man, Don Rush. I've been so grateful to him take me for a tour of his facility here, organization at its finest. And here's Don. I've always kind of followed his career and what he's done with it, where he started with an idea and he took that to every level, all the way to now where he's just got this incredible facility and employs 13 employees, right?
At the peak. Right now with COVID, it's been hard to keep that up, so we're at 10 now.
We're going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurism, business, and following your passion and taking it to the next level like Don's always done. So Don, you started in Portland.
Well, and you're being a little bit humble here because he didn't just follow me. I mimicked my business after you in some respects. I remember you giving me some advice back in the day. Don, you got some dead time, the phone's not ringing. Go through the Auto Trader, and everybody that's selling an old car needs something. And so what I'll do is like, hey, you need a rear bumper for that 71 there? I got one here. And then you would make that connection with the seller, and James would say, and here's some business cards, make sure the new guy knows about me. So he's not only making a sale, he's planting a seed. And those kind of things stuck with me.
Really?
You know,
okay.
in a Rose City Mustang, I'd go down there as a kid in high school and hang out and learn from Phil and Dan Harian. I just kind of, there's something said that there's no new ideas, but I'm a good mimicker. As
a child, you grew up in Portland area, and how was the family life for you?
Well, I was born and raised till second grade in Hood River. But it turns out my father was bipolar, and bipolar people, a lot of times alcohol gets in the mix, and before it was all over, my father got into meth, and so my mom had to flee. It got to be a dangerous situation. She had to put herself through college and raise us 3 kids, and there wasn't a lot left over. So, at the earliest age, I was buying my own. If I wanted a dog, I had to go buy my own dog's dog food. If I wanted a bicycle, it's up to you, kid. You want nice shoes to go to school in, you gotta. So I was hustling from an early age. My first business was bicycle salvage and repair, and I get these free bicycles. And I think there was a place in Southeast Portland called the Goodwill As Is store, and you could buy bicycles by the pound. So whatever scrap price was, they just doubled it. And I'd make these monstrosities, and I'd lease them to own to kids in the neighborhood and part them out and all this stuff. And then I graduated into go-karts and mini bikes and motorcycles. So the seed was early on planted there.
Right. And how old were you at this time?
That all started in 3rd grade, and then I started scrapping bicycles and started my first business. It wasn't profitable, but it kept me out of trouble, and then there was other family members like, oh, that Donnie, I'm going to give him these old tools. So pretty soon I had a pretty cool mismatched set of hand-me-down tools that were some of them 100 years old. Monkey wrench, a real monkey wrenches, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, that stuff's cool. They're better tools anyways nowadays.
But as a young person, learning how to buy low, sell high, negotiate a deal, work through an issue, whatever, those skills go with you lifelong. I don't care if you're flipping houses or it doesn't matter what it is, they just stick with you. So for parents, man, if you can get your kids engaged in something like that, and my mom was cool in that she let me fail. I mean, the backyard was a mess, and sometimes things didn't work out so well for obvious reasons, whatever, but she just kind of sat back and let me do it. And then as years went by, I had some capital. I knew how to actually scrounge together a few $100 and do something. So one thing led to another. Here I am. Every day is Groundhog's Day.
Right. And so your dad was not around all the time, huh?
Well, meth and bipolar and stuff. It's a good thing that we didn't run into him very often. In fact, I kind of regret this. He ended up in the state prison just right down the road here in Salem, and I kind of I had the attitude of, I'll visit him one of these days when I got time, because he didn't have time to come visit me. And then one day he was dead. His body was wore out, and I always regret that, man. I should have came and said some positive things to my father in prison. So that's a little regret. So you don't want to hold a grudge against anybody. I'm okay now, but there for a while I'm like, crap, I missed an opportunity. Especially since he had wrote me some apologetic letters and and was clean. You mostly stay clean in prison.
Right.
So anyway.
Well, that's tough to see that from somebody that you look up to so much.
Yeah, but it forced me into an adult mentality at an early age. So I don't wish that on anybody. I'm the exact opposite to my kids for that reason. But get lemons, make it into lemonade. Don't go through your whole life, poor me, I grew up in the bad side of town with drug-using father and blah, blah, blah. Just get out there and pick yourself up and do something. My thing is, I look back and, with Facebook, you see all these connections because people are back to their, you have connections that go back to grade school and junior high. Well, during the time I was growing up, times were hard and we moved all the time. I was always the new kid, the tall, dorky new kid with cheap shoes and pants that were too short. And so just about the time I'd make a friend or a best friend, it's time to move again. 9 months in one place, it's time to hit the road again. And so everybody I know has these relationships that go way back. They don't remember me. If I were to run into one of them, I kind of remember you. You came in mid-year and you left by summer. Yeah, I remember your crooked teeth.
That's kind of tough, yeah.
Yeah, so always being that misfit new kid was hard. So again, you take lemons and you make them into lemonade. So where do I spend my time? I spend my time in the streets sometimes in Salem in helping youth that are homeless or whatever. And this company's helped fund a place downtown. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it got shut down. But we did Church Street boxing. Let's get them indoors and get them boxing and get some mentors in here and some coaches and stuff like that.
And you were involved in this?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to
West Coast Classic Cougar, or just you personally?
Me personally, as a board member, as somebody that funds the business, as somebody that's behind the scenes, and maybe once in a while I show up and give my story. And not everybody here, but a lot of people that have worked here over the years are felons. And I'll give anybody a chance, if you're homeless or whatever, I'll give you a day's work, manual labor, so you can get your ID. And then some of the guys are like, wow, well, let's invite them back on day 2. And some of them have been here for over 10 years. Because there's some guys out there that are ready to clean up their act, but because of their police record, nobody will give them a chance.
That's tough.
And so I'm that guy. We're a bunch of misfits here. But you grab onto a misfit and walk him through some trials in life, and get him on his journey. You talk about a loyal co-worker, team member. Boom, they're there for you for life.
So I was just thinking about, as you told me about these relationships that ended, started and ended so fast when you were a kid. You probably got better relationships here at West Coast Classic Cougar with some of your customers and employees than you did when you were in school.
Yeah. But there's something about growing up with somebody and having memories and whatnot. I don't have those.
Right.
Move.
Sure.
My mom wanted to keep us out of the projects. And so instead of being in the shitty low-income apartments, she made a deal with a realtor that, like, hey, the housing market's terrible in the 70s. It's taken forever to sell a house. How about you give us this house for the same price as the low-income apartment, and my family, us 3 kids, and her, will clean it up, we'll detail it, we'll get it sale ready, and the day you say move, boom, you put us into the next house. So we were always living in nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses with a yard and a decent neighborhood, even though we were poor as dirt and push-starting our Pinto down the street to get it started.
Oh, wow, that's good. Your mom's a problem solver, too.
She was. I got a lot of that from her. I remember one Christmas she was unemployed and we had nothing. And she took us out in the forest illegally, probably, I don't know. We had our clippers and we started taking holly boughs, holly and cedar and clip, Then we went back in the living room with no heat, and we're winding them together, making these wreaths. And us little kids went down to Saturday Market with our arms all loaded with wreaths. Hi, mister, would you like to barter a wreath for that stupid clock? and I think they thought we were so cute they couldn't say no. So we did a family Christmas one year with bartered wreaths.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you know, I remember that way better than probably the rich kid that got the train set down the street.
When we started going, it was Phil Orion, his father, that was kind of going on things, and then Dan and you and we all kind of blossomed at the same time, and we always worked together so well because I was into the 71 to 3 Mustangs, Phil was into the early 64 to 70 Mustangs, and then Dan was over onto the Torinos, so we were never stepping on each other's toes.
Finding stuff for each other.
We were finding stuff for each other, and
you were one of my first suppliers.
I was.
Well, I wasn't into the 71 through 3s so much.
Okay, right.
But inevitably, people would call me and say, I know you're not into 71 through 3s, but I need your help finding this, this, and this. And I'd call you up and run over, what were you in Southeast Portland, 31st and
35th and Yama, yeah.
I'd come over there and you'd have all laid out for me and pay you, and then we'll resell it. So you're one of my very first suppliers.
Sure. Oh, interesting.
Dave Clemens' neighbor, Phil Marshall was the kid's name, and him and I had a Cougar together. He had a junker and I had a junker. I worked at Mike's Auto Parts there in Cedar Mill, and he'd wrecked his car and I needed something, and we found a car together for $75, and we both put our Cougars back together, got them on the road, dialed in, full-length console, disc brakes, and then sold the rest for like $300. And to a kid making $3.35 an hour turning rotors at an auto parts store, that sticks with you. You're like, damn, let's do that again.
Yeah, that's a great story. Was the Cougar your first car?
No, I had a Maverick because that was the only car a poor kid could get for $50. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I could fix that up and turn it, I was onto the Cougar.
Right. And so the Maverick, the Cougar was your second car?
The Cougar was the second car.
Okay. All right, and so at what point on that Cougar, did you get another Cougar then?
Well, like I say, as a kid, I needed some parts for it, and I'm already working at an auto parts store. My grandfather is silent owner in a Mount Hood Motors wrecking yard out of Hood River, Parkdale actually. So I got that connection, the auto parts store. I'm driving a junker that needs work. I find a parts car, so it was just the perfect storm for a kid that didn't get good grades and wasn't headed to college but had some energy. And so when high school was over, that's what I just jumped into.
At what point did you feel like you wanted that you had this vision that you wanted to do something like this?
Well, you know, I got married and my wife was bringing home the benefits and she was paying the house payment. You know, she had a good little secretarial job. And then our first child comes and she goes, Tag, you're it. I'm staying home. And I'm like, holy shit, this is for real. I got a kid on the way and a mortgage, and I got to do it all by myself. I got to start getting professional about this. And that's when a friend of mine came to me and said, Dawn, I got a new job. I'm selling websites. And I'd heard of www whatever, and I thought it was mostly for porn, but hey, whatever. I just wanted to help him out. So I gave him the $400, and basically my website was a static picture of my business card with a web ring underneath, and the phone started ringing. Well, I found you on www.classic-cougar.com. You did. And so something clicked, and I'm like, I think this is the wave. I think we're done with giving everybody in the industry a printed catalog. And so, to the chagrin of many people, I said, I'm going to be that first guy that never has a printed catalog, and I'm going to put every dime of advertising I can into the website, and just kept plowing it in and plowing it in. We got over $1 million into that website now, and it works.
At what point did you start adding a checkout?
We didn't really, until we got into reproduction parts. So that would have been 2004, because we were just a wrecking yard for a lot of years, which worked great until the parts cars start to dry up. And here we are again. I have no college education. I've never had a real full-time job. I'm unemployable. I mean, a guy that's worked by himself, for himself all these years with ADD, who's going to give me a job?
I think a lot of people would.
Well, you know, I don't think I'd make a very good employee, having never been under anybody before. So that's when I said, this is it. Let's do reproduction parts, and let's do it like nobody else. If you go to my competitors' websites, I don't care if it's Chevy, Ford, Dodge, whatever, they claim that every item on their website is fantastic. Glorious part, fits this, and the other, top seller. No, when it comes to reproduction, a third of them are really good. A fraction of them are better than OEM. A lot of them are and then you got the crap parts. So I have a little poo emoji on my website whenever I don't like and I give a review of the part. This is why I despise this part. Now, it's the only thing out there, and you don't want to drive around with a hole in your dash because you're missing that part, so it plugs the hole, but it doesn't work. And by the way, there's no returns on this part because I told you it was crap. And people in my industry like that realism. Right. This guy actually works on cars. He actually knows what he's talking about. And the other website I was on said this was a glorious part. Who am I going to believe?
That's the thing. It adds a lot of integrity when you're putting something together and you got, you know, good stuff and bad stuff, and you're labeling it as it is, you know, instead of everything just being a facade of excellence.
Yeah, and that's not true. And they know it. They know they're being scammed.
Right. Like 2004 is when you started adding the checkout.
Yeah, and it was a daunting task. I mean, you got 17,000 parts on these cars with all the colors and variations and years. I do 67 to 73 Cougars. It looked like I'd never get done, but every night after work, I'd go get my digital camera out and I'd take a picture of 5 more parts and I'd start typing and I'd get the Ford part number and the interchange and link it all up. And it was just slow. And then all of a sudden, you know, we were getting $40 orders 3 times a day. And then a $100 order 6 times a day. And now we get several $1,000s a day, every day, whether we're closed or open 24/7. That you know, we just put in big stacks of paper in the printer and we wake up in the morning, there's stacks of orders and out the door they go.
Yeah, the internet never sleeps. That's great. And so, so what's next?
You know, everybody wants me to do Mustangs. They want me to do Torinos and Cyclones and this, that, and the other. And I'm focused. I'm going to know we're going to be the very best at what we do. In fact, you may not know this. I used to do all years of Cougars. When I first bought this 3-acre complex, I said, well, the guys are calling me already for 74, 79 Cougars, 86 Cougars, and I can get them for free almost. Why wouldn't I fill that wrecking yard full of them? Here's the problem with that. You send out a heater control unit for a 75 Cougar, and it gets there, and the guy's like, no, Don, I got the mid-year such and such package. It's the da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't know anything about a 75 Cougar. I don't want to drive one. I don't want to own one. Therefore, how are you going to learn it? And one day I just said, you know what? I want to be the very best at what I do. Let somebody else make the money off the 75 Cougars, and I'm going to focus on just this.
Right.
Now, if I ever get to the point where my website is done, and every used NOS reproductions parts there with a how-to video, a wiring diagram, and all that, I'll get into some Restomod parts. In fact, I'm building my first Restomod right here.
Nice. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My customers think I hate them because I don't cater to Restomod stuff. It's just, no, I'm staying focused. But yeah, we just put electric headlights in this, and they work much better in the vacuum. Check this out. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Fast, even.
Those things are just so responsive.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so, and that's a conversion that you sell though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably pretty popular.
Yeah, it is, because the vacuum stuff was never designed to last 5 decades.
Right. And it always leaks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got dual quads on there too, huh?
Yeah, this is a 5-speed, and Bill Kubik's building me a true track rear end for it right now. We're having some fun with it.
Anything else you want to add?
You know, if you stick to something you love and like, the money will follow. But so many young people, and I'm talking to you young people out here, so many young people are told you need to establish some credit, so you should go buy a brand new car, and you should rack up a bunch of school debt because it'll pay off. And so you enter the life with shackles on you because you're going by other people's expectations. Well, what I did is said, screw it. I drove, and Dan got me into them, I drove Cadillacs for my work trucks because the trunks were so big. and in the day, nobody wanted 70 Coupe de Villes. You could get them for $50, and I'm not exaggerating. $50. Oh, yeah. They were dependable. You could even tow a trailer. Yeah, I didn't get a lot of dates in them, and I lived in the ghetto. I lived on 21st and Ainsworth. I bought a $13,000 house. It was $164 a month on a 10-year contract. Charged my roommate $150. Then I'm living life for $14 a month. You know, just think out of the box. Don't believe what the man tells you. The man tells you you need to be a robot. You need to do this and check this box so you get a degree that hangs on the wall that says I checked all the boxes. I'm important. Right. You know, that is, you know, one of my kids is in college right now, so I'm not going to diss college, but there's other ways. There's other ways.
Oh, absolutely.
And being an entrepreneur is in being broke and on the edge. You might think that's terrible, but man, it makes you wake up early in the morning and go, I got to make this work.
Sure.
I got bills to pay. I got a dog that needs food.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Absolutely.
It's a fire beneath you.
Right. And you know, you can't learn that in school.
I went to Portland Community College, but I never went there for a degree. I'm like, I know nothing about accounting. I got to figure this out. So I took accounting. I want to start flipping some houses in Northeast Portland. So I took Introduction to Real Estate. You know, I
remember that.
I just took what I wanted to learn, and you keep the degree. I don't care what my grade is. I got a lot of knowledge here, you know.
Sure.
That's the way I did college.
Yeah, Don, I'll tell you, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me today, and sharing what you got going and with the people. And I can't say enough about it. All right, guys, thank you for watching this interview. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to the channel and put the notifications on, and I'm going to bring more and more content, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.